I am Francesca. This is my kitchen, this is my domain. It is here that I cook, that I rehearse my songs, I do everything in my kitchen, practically live in my kitchen. But today it is not about singing, today we are going to cook. The last video we posted, it showed us picking rose hips in the wild. They are free. Most people have no idea that you can cook a lot of lovely stuff with roses, rose hips. The thing is, when you leave the roses in the bushes, you can pick them and then dry them outside in the sun or dry them in the oven. These ones I dried already. I can show you later. I still have on the windowsill a lot of little rose buds that are opening. The rose tea is very good if you have cherry angiomas like I do. Cherry angiomas are little kind of drops of blood that appear on your skin. They are not blood, well, they have blood inside, but it's like little drops I've had on my forehead, I've had them everywhere. And when I drink rose tea, you just steep in hot water, all those angiomas disappear. Something else I have made is rose hip vinegar. You can use white vinegar, or like in this case, I used apple cider vinegar, organic apple cider vinegar, and the rose hips give it a lovely flavor. So when you don't cut the roses, at the end of the season you get hips. If you cut the roses, you don't get hips, but you get tea. So it's kind of a trade-off. I have a lot of jars here ready to house our rose hip jam. That's what we are going to do today. Rose hip jam. You can do a lot of things. You can even make a French liqueur, which is very, very nice. It's gratte curl, because the rose hips have little hairs inside, and if you don't get rid of them, they irritate your throat and your digestive system, and then your bum kind of itches. So the French call it gratte curl, meaning scratch your bum, but it is delicious. So you can make syrups, you can do a lot of with rose hips, which is amazing because they are free, and at this time of the year they are everywhere, because it seems that after the first frost they become sweeter. What we are going to do today, I'm going to clean and wash them, then I'm going to put them in this box and I'm going to freeze them for an hour or two, so that they get a little bit of frost and can get that sweetness. Most recipes will tell you to cut the rose hips in half and clean all the seeds and clean all those little terrible hairs. I don't do that. I have now found just one recipe. I've tried it. I'm not dead yet, I swear. And I'm going to show you how to make a much more simple rose hip jam. Here are the rose hips we picked yesterday, which you'll have seen in our other video. Loads and loads of beautiful rose hips. So I'm going to start by cutting. You see, you cut little peduncle. I am not really going to cut these bits because I didn't see them appear in the jam, and I like to make things as easy as possible. My big inspiration is Nigella Lawson, and I like to make everything simple, just like Nigella. I just have got to start behaving like Nigella. I'm not as sensual as Nigella.
Oh, I think you are far more sensual.
By the way, how do you like my new haircut? I haven't cut my hair since the first lockdown started. My hair came till here. It's just hair. I was like Lady Godiva almost. And today I went finally for a haircut.
And it's looking very beautiful, my angel.
Thank you, my love. So, I won't bore you with all this work, you now know how it is done, so I'll keep on going. And I'll then, in a few minutes, I'll show you how I wash them and then put them in the freezer. So this is a little bit more tedious, but you can even sit in front of the TV, which is probably what I'm going to do, and just cut them. Now imagine if you had to cut them all in half, clean all the seeds and remove all those horrible hairs. But as I said, I am not going to do it. So I am now going to prepare them. I'm going indeed to sit in front of the TV, and in a little while we'll come back and put them in the freezer. See you later.
Okay.
So I have prepared some of the hips, not all, because I still have a lot of pulp in the fridge. I'll use these hips and I'll add them to the pulp I have already. I'm going to wash them, put them in the box, put them in the fridge, in the freezer, just to mimic the first frost, because we haven't had any frost yet. They say they become a bit sweeter. I have no idea, but I'll do that. So let's wash the hips. They are trying to run away. Don't run away, my darlings, just stay here. You're going to be a wonderful, wonderful gem. So, normally speaking, I would have prepared a much bigger quantity, but because I have pulp ready in the freezer, these I'm just making to show you. There we go. I'm going to freeze them for an hour or so, but you can freeze them overnight, it doesn't matter. The freezer is in the garage, so come with me. So our freezer is in the garage, and I'm going to freeze our rose hips. And actually, at every stage you can freeze it for a later date. You can leave them frozen for quite a while, or you can boil them and freeze them again, or you can make the pulp and freeze it. This is all very versatile. So here they go, just for an hour or two, to mimic the first frost. See? Our wonderful freezer. No, it's not closing. Let's take out the turkey and the gin and tonic sorbet.
Wow.
Wow. So, now it should close. I'll leave them here for an hour or so, and we'll come back in a little while. See you. So our rose hips had a bit of a frostbite that mimics the first frost outside in nature, because the thing is, you have, at least here in the UK, you have got to pick them before the end of September, otherwise they all go mushy. Although some recipes say don't pick the mushy ones. On the other hand, if there was some frost, they would have gone mushy anyway. So I'm now going to boil them for half an hour with the double quantity of water, no sugar, nothing at this point. By the way, they are so rich in vitamin C that babies in Holland, their first solid food is a bit of white bread with rosehip jam, and that's quite amazing. In the meanwhile, while I waited for the bite frost to work, I have been preparing the rest of the rose hips we collected yesterday. Some of them I did take this dark bit out, and if you wish, I'll find some here, I'm sure. Yes, if you wish you can take it out, but again, in the last batch I made I didn't see any difference, and even if you don't take all the peduncles out, I don't think it makes a difference anyway, because we are going to sieve these all. These are some of our roses, these are the last leftover roses, and the buds that are not open, you see, you put them in the water and they open, so I'll be drying them for my tea. I already have a few collected here that are drying, and then I'll put them all in the oven. So you can make tea, you can make vinegar, you can make liqueur, you can make jam, you can make syrup. There is practically nothing you can't do with rose hips. Never mind. They are trying to run away from me. That's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. So, there they go in the pan. They really froze in 1 hour. You don't even need 1 hour, put half an hour. It's just a little bit of frostbite. I have no idea whether it helps, but some people say they become sweeter. So now double the quantity more or less, cover them with quite a bit of hot water and then let them boil for half an hour or until they go mushy. Here we have the lids, because the lids and the jars need to be sterilized. I do the lids in boiling water for 5 minutes, and later on I'll put the jars in the oven for maybe 5 or 8 minutes, whatever, at around 150, 180 centigrade. If you take them right from the dishwasher, then you don't need to sterilize them, they come sterilized, which is great. I like everything very simple, just like nature. So let's put this all to boil, then it will be boiling for half an hour. It seems like a lot of work, but it really is not. And the lids for 5 minutes. And we'll come back again. See you later. So the hips have been boiled for more or less half an hour. Now I'm going to puree them to make sure that there are no nasty hairs. There we go. So I've got my apron now, because otherwise this could get a little bit messy. You don't need to puree them very well at this point, because we are going to do it again to make sure that all the hairs are bleached. Because the problem with the hairs, I believe, is not that they have anything that would hurt you. It is the fact that they are very fine. That's what irritates your gut and your throat. So I have found out that if we bleach them, then you won't have a problem. This may seem like a lot of work, but it isn't, because most of the time I have been doing other things. This is a little bit like bread making. It takes a while, but when the bread is rising, you are not there looking after it. So as you see, you didn't need to bleach the hips very fine. So there you go. And all the peeps and all the hairs hopefully will stay behind. And those hairs that don't stay behind will bleach them again. And I swear you won't have a problem. You really don't need to be cutting hips in half and removing all the peeps and all the hairs, because that a lot of people do that. Actually, most people do it. But if you do it this way, I have eaten a lot in the past week and I have had no side effects, so believe me, this does work. There we go. It's also good for the bingo wings, for the ladies. Don't let your husbands or your partners or your sons do it. Do it yourself. You see, it's all coming, the pulp. There you go. By the way, I forgot to say something which I had asked Colin to remind me, is when the hips are boiled, if you don't want any more hassle, you can use that water for your tea and forget about the rest.
And I forgot to remind you.
Yeah, senior moment, a double senior moment. Yeah, I had asked you to remind me that the water can just be used for the tea. And there are people who now boil the peeps again with more water, but that for me is too much hassle. I just do it once, add more water, and if it is a bit like tomato juice, it's perfectly alright. Don't boil again. Why add more water if you can add the water in one go and boil in one go? So we are almost ready, I think. There is nothing much coming out. Let's scrape these. We can't throw this goodness away. And I am going to show you that I actually already had more pulp ready. And I'm going to add all together. So you see, there's always more coming out. How amazing is that? Costs almost nothing, and you don't need any more vitamin pills for the winter. Most of all, it tastes absolutely delicious. Sorry, I'm falling over my words. I find it so difficult to be talking and cooking at the same time. Now, this is the pulp I had from, these are the hips from our garden, I believe only. And this is the new hips we picked, and I added the new ones just to show you how I did it. I'm going to add everything together, and now I'm going to blitz it all again to make sure that there aren't any hairs, because the concern with rose hips, it is always those hairs that are so annoying. Cut! Here is all the pulp of the rose hips. I'm going to blitz it again. I didn't do it last time and I didn't feel any hairs kind of scratching my throat, let alone my bum. But I'm going to do it because I thought, well, it's just a precaution. You see, by wearing my apron, I make sure that I'm not splattering rose hip pulp all over my clothes. And of course, for the rest of the winter, I have a lot of other hips that I'm going to freeze now. Now we are going to weigh the pulp. Woo! It's almost 1 kilo.
Wow.
Yeah, of rose hip pulp. We have worked hard, my love.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at this. We can start selling. It's over 1 kilo of pulp.
Wow.
Unbelievable. We can start selling rosehip jam. You probably even can make perfume now because the rosehips actually don't smell of roses at all. So 1 kilo 54. How much is half of that?
527.
So let's say 530. Because there is a little secret I'm going to share with you, which is actually a pet hate of mine.
Oh.
The Brits use, so it's 1 kilo 65. Half of that
Is 532.5.
Ooh, 530. So what the Brits do is they make jam and they add double the quantity of sugar or more. In mainland Europe we don't do anything like that. We half it. You can even do 1/3, but I find half you really make sure your jam stays good. But then we add pectin. And even better is in mainland Europe you have jelly-fine sugar for 1/3 of sugar or 1/3 or half. So there are the two formulations, and you add so much less sugar, which makes your jam so much tastier and healthier, because we shouldn't be eating loads and loads, mountains of sugar. But that fashion has never arrived here. Therefore, last time that we went to Portugal, we bought pectin, as we couldn't bring kilos and kilos of jelly-fine sugar on the plane. We bought pectin, and that's what I'm going to use now. Therefore, I'm using half of the quantity of sugar to the quantity of pulp. I'm also going to add a little bit of lemon juice, also for the flavor. I didn't last time, but I have read that's actually very good, and I think it will enhance the flavor. So this is a novelty. Some people say the color is much nicer, but to be honest, I'll show you the jam I made last time, which is finishing, and actually the color is quite nice even without the lemon juice.
So here is some you made earlier, as they always say in the cookery program.
Last week. And it has a beautiful color, which is very similar to the color that I have here. Another tip I have found is adding a bit of rose water, because the rose hips don't taste at all like roses and don't smell like roses. They have a little bit of a citrus flavor, so I thought this might be a good addition. Just add a splash of rose water. There you go. And now we are going to add sugar. How much sugar did we say?
530 grams, you said.
Yes, 530 grams.
Sounds a lot.
Instead, well, if I were British, I'd be adding over 1 kilo.
Wow.
So that does make a difference. Just give me 1 second to wash my hands. I'm going to add sugar. Usually for baking I use the yellow sugar, but for the jam I'm going to use white because it keeps the color kind of brighter, I believe. So we are going to add half of the quantity of sugar, of the quantity of pulp you have got. Don't do like the British. Would have added more than 1 kilo of sugar, which I find it's rather crazy. Sorry, Colin. If I'm
Don't
not...
mind me, I'm not British.
Oh, I hope that I have half a kilo of sugar.
I'm Welsh and we're very sweet already.
I hope that I have half a kilo, otherwise
I'm beginning to wonder.
Yeah, me too.
It's a lot.
But it doesn't... Okay, we are getting to 400 grams.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so we might get there. Oh God. Oh no. I hope the universe helps me and makes the sugar grow. Yes, 517.
Oh, wow.
We are getting there.
Perfect.
23, 28, 30. Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes. Oh. Not very clever. Not to have... Oh, and I wanted to mix the pectin, wait. Wanted to mix the pectin with a bit of sugar. So that it kind of dissolves. Now let's see. The pectin you use... 1 bag of pectin for 1 kilo of fruit. So I have no idea. I have no idea how much. Oh, it's 25 grams. So you use 25 grams. Oh, it's a lot. For yeah. So you use 1 bag of pectin for 1 kilo of sugar. Believe me, when you get the routine of this, you actually do it very easily. What I'm going to do is to mix the pectin with a bit of sugar. I forgot this bit because I think that it will dissolve a lot more easily. If this is a belief of mine, let's see if I'm right. And then, normally speaking, you should only have to cook the jam for a few minutes. But I found last time that it actually needed a bit more. Now I'm going to try to throw this in the pan without making a huge splash. And what I could do is try, this is to mix the pulp here, a little bit of pulp with the sugar and the pectin to make sure that I don't get lumps of pectin, because last time I had some lumps. This is so much easier with the gellifying sugar. If you go to mainland Europe by car, Dubai, every supermarket will sell gellifying sugar and you don't need to be adding any pectin. It works every time, only half of the sugar for the fruit, and there is even another one, as I said, 1/3 of pectin to the quantity of fruit, but I always find half of the sugar. It kind of assures you that your jam is not going moldy. And this jam is so much less sweet. I can't imagine how people enjoy, you know, with this amount of pulp, adding over a kilo of sugar. I just can't. And nowadays I think hopefully one can buy pectin online. Once I tried to buy gellifying sugar online, but because it is very heavy, of course, they charge so much in the postage costs that it was impossible. I even talked once to a brand of gellifying sugar to see whether they would start exporting it to the UK, because it is completely bonkers, you know, a country or islands where there are so many problems with obesity, not to have ever found out this secret. Well, it's not a secret, but about gellifying sugar. So we are now going to boil these, they say, for a few minutes, but with such a quantity I have the feeling that we should do it longer. And while the pulp boils, we are going to do something else, which is something very, very important, which is sterilizing our jars. So, and that is really important, because if you don't sterilize the jars, all your jam will go moldy. This is becoming very messy. I have no idea how many jars I'm going to need. Let's see if I can put them here, can I? No. Also this fashion of having two ovens, for me, does not make sense. Another thing I don't get along with. And then I've got to think, do I want the small oven? Do I want the big oven? Oh, so complicated. In Portugal we have one oven and that works perfectly well. So we'll put our jars here, more or less 180 degrees for 5 minutes, so we'll let it come to temperature and then wait for 5 minutes. It is also very good that when you pour the very, very hot jam or jelly into your jars, that they are slightly warm, otherwise they could burst and that wouldn't be a good thing. Okay. What I've been doing is making a test to see whether my jam is going to set, which means it's not going to go moldy. So when you pass a finger, it should leave a little passage like this, a road. And of course I'm going to taste it as well, now that I'm at it. And that means that it is setting. Tastes wonderful. If it doesn't set, don't worry. The one I did last week, it didn't set perfectly, but I use it as a syrup in my fruit salads, in my tea, so it is okay. So here is our jam already boiled. I must say that I really miss the gellifying sugar, because I don't really work well with this pectin, but I can't have it here in the UK, so I have no choice. Now I have my jar that has been sterilized. I have my jam funnel, and I'm going to fill my jar, and we are almost there. Should have used a bigger ladle to go faster. It is important that you fill the jars while they are warm, so that they don't burst, as I said before, and you fill that to the top. There are a lot of different ideas about that, whether you fill to the top or not. I always do. Fill to the top, then screw the lid, and then turn your jar upside down for a few minutes. Let's see. Yes. Turn your jar upside down so that all the air is absorbed. Ooh, I should have seen before which was the right lid. It's always good beforehand to put the lids with the right jar. screw it well. Look how beautiful. I put it here in the light. And now I'm going to turn it upside down. Of course, at this point it's still very liquid because it's hot. Turn it upside down for a few minutes and it will kind of eat all the oxygen, so it makes sure that the jam won't spoil. And when you open it, it's very interesting. I showed Colin the other day that when you then open it the first time, it pops like the jam in the supermarket. It makes plop.
What does it make?
Plop.
Just like that?
Yes, just like that. And so you are sure that you can keep your jam for a very long time. After opening, I always keep it in the fridge, but if it is well set, even with 50% of the sugar, it should not spoil. But again, if you can get the gellifying sugar, it's sure every time. I never had one jam that did spoil, and so that's a great thing. And again, if it doesn't set, use it as a very nice additive for your fruit salads. Use it as a syrup in your tea. Add it to, for example, a bit of sparkling water in the summer. It's very refreshing. And please keep an eye open. We might make the French liqueur gratte-coeur in a little while, which translated to English means scratch your bum. Which you won't have to, because all the hairs are out. You see there are no hairs whatsoever. But maybe we'll make it soon, and we'll surely film it, and there are a lot of recipes online anyway. So I hope you enjoy rose hip jam from our kitchen. Bye.
Yay!
Yes. Bye.